And I want everybody to understand that market access is important to a lot of us. But what Senator Stabenow raised as chair of the Agriculture Committee is you also got to enforce the laws on the books.
Right.
In other words, trade is a two-part exercise. Absolutely. Look for new ways to expand access to markets. Put me down for being interested in that every time. Also put me down for the point that Senator Stabenow just made, is you got to enforce the laws on the books. And I'll be home soon having town meetings around the state. I will hear from dairy farmers, as Senator Stabenow mentioned, about whether or not we're going to enforce the USMCA provisions. So I thank her. We've got another trade champ. Senator Cortez Masto is next, and then we'll be followed by Senator Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. McCaleb, congratulations on your nomination. I am going to talk about the cattle industry, which you probably already addressed, but I was in a cryptocurrency hearing in banking, so I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to further discuss it a little bit. In Nevada, and really across the country, U.S. cattle producers have a personal stake in, we know, protecting our public lands and the environment, and our cattle producers in Nevada are a leading example of that. If confirmed, how would you work at USTR to further promote U.S. beef across the globe?
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for that question, Senator. One area that I think is incredibly important is that as issues like sustainability and climate become more of an international topic, not only in trade discussions, but in a variety of forums, that the U.S. take better credit and that we help tell the story of our farmers and ranchers better. Because I will put the stewardship of our ranchers and our farmers, what they do for soil quality, water quality, putting ground cover out there, up against any producer around the globe. And I don't think we have been aggressive enough at telling that story and making sure that we get credit, whether it is in carbon accounting or if you're doing modeling, that we use a system that adequately shows what our folks are doing and have done. And we're going to make more investments, and so it's even more important that we get the system set up right so that we're not disadvantaged, essentially, and that our folks end up having, well, it's a new thing, even though they've been practicing soil stewardship since 1985 or wetland protection since 1990, they should get adequately recognized for that in the marketplace. The other thing, as Chief Agricultural Negotiator, that I am concerned about has to do with licensing and essentially renewals of those licensing, because what I find right now is that you have a country, suddenly we have our export licenses expire, or there's a new system set up, and there have been situations in the last year where we've had boats on the water shipping and exporting to a country, and we've been scrambling around to make sure that when they got to the port of entry that the licensing was in place. So if confirmed to this position, I would work really hard to map out, make sure that we have better long-term arrangements so that we're not fighting fires when we ought to be gardening new markets and cultivating new long-term markets out there.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. In your written testimony, you mentioned that you would seek to build on Ambassador Tai and USTR's work to bring more U.S. goods to customers and markets around the world. With various trade negotiations underway, how would you work to leverage all of our tools in the toolbox to assist our agricultural producers, if confirmed? Yeah, so, using USMCA as an example, the types of sanitary, phytosanitary provisions that are there. Another provision of USMCA is the ability to do some rapid response. Those are templates that I would like to try to apply to various regions and various types of commodities. And since we're talking about beef in this conversation, the ability for Japan to raise its safeguard and allow under their quota system additional beef, having those kinds of flexibilities or provisions that really came in handy when Japan realized it wanted more beef. We certainly have beef to sell, so that solution was something that was due to the fact that there was a mechanism there that could be utilized. So as Chief Agricultural Negotiator, that kind of flexibility would be something I would advocate for so that we aren't stuck. And that if we have a willing buyer and we've got willing ranchers and farmers here, that we always have the ability to keep trade flowing and to keep marketplace moving. Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Congratulations again. Thank you so much.